that said, as they do their ritual tonight, God Almighty will reveal himself to them. The ritual will backfire on them. God will not be mocked. Blessed is the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Every tongue that rises against me in judgment shall be condemned and put to shame. Watch.
Sexual, they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bryshere Gray, left that house screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
I'm gonna slap him out so he'll feel too embarrassed to file his lawsuit against Diddy for what Will and Diddy did to him. With Jaden and Justin present, that tape exists.
Okay.
I really hope none of that baby oil was used on those kids. That would just be in bad taste. Baby oil on babies.
You can't say that the flavor camp was sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. You just come on. Come on.
Starting to sound that way, ain't it?
No.
All that talent, and she let Charlie tune that boy up, knowing that he was bipolar and had ADHD. What kind of mother would do that to her son? Turn him into a prostitute so you could pretend to be something more than what you are, which is nothing more than a Philly whore. You're a whore. You're a big old and they're making your son out to be, that's for sure. Because he didn't have no choice. You was down by all. I'm sorry. The Bryshere conversation for me is not easy. Because I came to Belial and I asked Belial to help me save the kids, and all he was worried about was his fucking book.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Don't nobody care about these kids. Don't nobody care about these kids.
Your man card. That's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and p***ed out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
Gray, one of the stars of the hit show Empire. Tonight we're seeing hours of new video from his July arrest that ended with his wife flagging down police and telling them the actor had assaulted her for hours inside their Goodyear home. The bizarre jailhouse interview lasting for 2 hours as they try to piece together a chaotic chain of events.
The F is wrong with you? And he was like, you know. He said, you know Will me. You know Diddy made me suck his penis. You know what's going on. You know Charlie made me suck. And I said, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. So he crying, no blood is coming from his nose. Yes, you do. Yes.
Did you see allegedly on the tapes?
Tyrese with Will and Jada. Then the one with Charlie Mack and Will. Jada's not on it, but you can hear her say, make him spit up, period. So when these tapes come out, people will know I'm telling the absolute truth.
Oh, Hollywood is shaking again. And this time, the whispers aren't staying in the shadows. What started as another late-night Twitter rant has spiraled into a full-blown industry reckoning, with names so big they practically built the culture. We're talking about explosive allegations, secret mentorships that allegedly weren't so innocent, a spiraling former teen star, and now a rap queen who may be hinting that she knows far more than she's saying. If even half of this is true, the fallout could be historic. The night police were called to his home after he reportedly spiraled into a mental health crisis, social media didn't just see a troubled former star. They saw a symbol. A young man who once had the industry at his feet, now standing at the edge of collapse. And almost immediately, the question began circulating in whispers, in live streams, in cryptic tweets. Was this simply a breakdown or the aftermath of something much darker? Because as his name trended, so did others, billion-dollar moguls, household names, cultural icons. Insiders started speaking. Old interviews resurfaced. Conspiracy or cover-up, trauma or tabloid fiction. Whatever this is, people are starting to say it's the kind of story Hollywood never wanted told. To understand why this hits so hard, you have to remember who he was. Bryshere Gray wasn't just another actor. On Empire, he was Hakeem Lyon, the reckless, magnetic youngest son in a musical dynasty. He was young, charismatic, musically gifted, and suddenly famous on one of the biggest shows on television. Red carpets, award shows, screaming fans. He was positioned as the next breakout multi-hyphenate star. But then the shift happened. The headlines stopped celebrating and started questioning. Erratic live streams. Heated social media rants. The abrupt pivot to OnlyFans that shocked longtime fans. Then came the arrest after a domestic dispute, the SWAT standoff, the interrogation footage that left viewers unsettled. Interviews where he seemed disconnected, spiraling, fighting something unseen. The public narrative became he fell off. But critics now ask, do people just fall off like that? Or do they fall apart after something fractures them behind the scenes? That's when the conversation turns to the alleged mentorships. For years, whispers have floated through industry back channels about a pipeline. Young male artists being taken under the wing of powerful figures, offered guidance, access, protection. Two names constantly orbit these discussions: Sean Combs and Will Smith. To be clear, what follows remains allegations circulating publicly, not proven fact. But the rumors gained traction when blind items surfaced suggesting Bryshere once considered filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit tied to events from his teenage years. The story goes that the lawsuit was quietly pulled before it could move forward. Some online commentators claim he lacked support. Others suggest pressure. Outspoken singer Jaguar Wright has repeatedly alleged that certain mentorships were not what they appear to be, describing a toxic power dynamic masked as opportunity. Again, claims, not courtroom findings. But the layering is what unsettles people. Alleged mentorship, alleged lawsuit, alleged silence. Each piece on its own might be dismissed. Together, they create a pattern that fuels suspicion. And the question keeps resurfacing. How many young artists entered rooms believing they were being groomed for greatness, only to realize the cost was something else entirely? Then other voices enter the chat. Terrence Howard, who worked alongside Bryshere, made polarizing comments in a recent interview about young men in Hollywood losing their man card under industry pressure. Some viewers felt his phrasing carried problematic undertones. Others argued he was speaking metaphorically about exploitation and spiritual damage. Either way, it poured gasoline on an already raging fire. And then there's Nicki Minaj, whose recent cryptic posts about powerful elites, rituals, and hidden corruption sent fans into detective mode. She never directly named Bryshere, but timing is everything. Was she hinting, venting, deflecting, or exposing? Social media split into two camps almost instantly. Conspiracy theorists reaching for red string and longtime observers insisting, "We tried to tell you years ago." Why now? Why are more people suddenly willing to speak? Is this connected to broader investigations shaking parts of the music industry? Or is it simply the internet doing what it does best, connecting dots that may or may not belong together? And then comes the most painful layer: family. Allegations have circulated that Bryshere's early management decisions, including who he was introduced to and who he was mentored by, were signed off on by the very people meant to protect him. Some online critics go further, accusing former handlers and even his own mother of prioritizing opportunity over safety. These are heavy accusations, and none have been proven in court. But emotionally, they cut deep. Because if exploitation occurred, and that remains an if, then this wouldn't just be about one actor making bad choices. It would suggest a systemic failure, a machine that rewards access and punishes resistance, a culture where silence can be more profitable than truth. And finally, the crescendo, the alleged tapes. Insiders and internet personalities claim recordings exist, private footage that could either confirm wild speculation or expose a coordinated smear campaign. No verified recordings have surfaced publicly. No charges have confirmed such claims. But the mere suggestion of receipts raises the temperature. Because in the digital age, proof doesn't whisper, it detonates. And while all this swirls, notice something else: the silence. Major figures named in rumors have largely avoided directly addressing the specifics. No fiery denials. No detailed breakdowns. Just carefully worded distance or complete quiet. And in Hollywood, silence is rarely empty. It's strategic. It's calculated. It's suspense. So we're left here, watching a former star unravel in public. Watching insiders talk louder than ever. Watching social media turn speculation into movement. Is Bryshere Gray a cautionary tale about fame and mental health? Or is he the visible crack in a much larger foundation? The industry says nothing. The internet says everything. And somewhere between those two extremes is the truth, still waiting to surface. And here's where the story refuses to tie itself up neatly with a bow. Bryshere Gray remains the haunting centerpiece of it all. A young man who once stood at the peak of primetime television, now navigating a very public spiral that feels less like a fall from fame and more like a slow-motion collapse. The live streams, the arrests, the erratic interviews, the visible instability that fans argue goes far beyond career missteps. Some see a man battling personal demons. Others see someone carrying something heavier, something that may have started long before the headlines turned negative. And whether the allegations surrounding him are ever proven or completely dismantled, the damage to his image, his mental health, and his trajectory has already been done. That's the part no one can debate. At the same time, the public isn't as quiet as it once was. There's a growing demand for deeper investigations, not just into individuals, but into the culture itself. The idea of mentorship in Hollywood, once marketed as a golden ticket, is being scrutinized in ways we haven't seen before. Social media is archiving interviews. Old clips are resurfacing. Patterns are being mapped. The audience that once consumed celebrity gossip passively is now dissecting it like investigative journalists. And the more silence they encounter from major players, the louder the speculation becomes. Because in today's climate, silence doesn't calm storms. It feeds them. Meanwhile, Nicki Minaj continues to stand 10 toes down in her defiance. Cryptic tweets, spiritual warfare language, subtle jabs at unnamed industry elites. Whether she's hinting at hidden knowledge, settling personal scores, or simply speaking from a place of frustration, one thing is clear: she's not backing off. And her platform is massive. When someone with that level of influence questions the integrity of the system, even indirectly, it shifts the temperature of the room. Supporters call her brave. Critics call it theatrics. But either way, she's keeping the conversation alive. And that's what makes this moment feel different. The industry itself seems to be standing at a crossroads. On one path, business as usual, deny, deflect, wait for the cycle to move on. On the other, transparency, accountability, and the uncomfortable excavation of long-protected power structures. Historically, Hollywood has survived scandal after scandal by outlasting public outrage. But cultural patience is thinner now. Audiences are less forgiving. And every new allegation, proven or not, chips away at the illusion of untouchable celebrity. Bryshere's story regardless of how it ultimately unfolds, has become symbolic, not just of personal tragedy, but of a broader unease about what happens behind velvet ropes and gated mansions. Maybe he is simply a former star who struggled under the weight of fame. Maybe he is something more complicated. Maybe the truth sits somewhere in the gray, waiting for evidence strong enough to hold it in place. But here's the tension that won't go away. If mentorship in Hollywood has always been sold as opportunity wrapped in protection, why do so many of these stories end in silence, breakdowns, or whispers about what really happened? And if mentorship has always come with a price, are we finally watching the moment when the bill comes due?